This one. Oh, 50.
3615.
Okay. This one. Good game.
4, 5, 4.
7, 3, 3.
3, müssen wir fliegen, die Marco und einen Aufkleber drauf.
Klaus, zu biegen.
Ja. Aber auch schon Aufkleber, Klaus, ich will wo sie hin wollen.
Klaus.
Ja, noch? Ja. Die hier.
62.
0, 2, 7.
Well, welcome back to Oberhof, where trimester 2, our German doubleheader in 2026 begins. Today's competition, of course, carries a more sombre feel as the Biathlon family mourn the tragic loss of Sivert Guttorm-Bakken. We had a beautiful tribute before the men's race and indeed during it. And those moments of reflection will continue throughout the days to come and, of course, this season, as our thoughts are with Sivert's family and friends, his team, and all members of the Norwegian Biathlon family at this very difficult time. -5 is the air temperature today, and due to bad weather predicted for tomorrow, we have both of the weekend sprint competitions taking place today. The women are up next, and Chad Salmela, former US biathlete and coach alongside me. What do you expect from this women's competition today?
Well, the fog is lifted, so it should render some better shooting results than we saw in the men's competition earlier in the day. The men really struggled with the fog from the standing position. Not really, but there weren't a lot of clean shootings on a relatively good shooting day in Oberhof. Relatively meaning this is a very tough venue to shoot well on because it's normally very windy or rainy or foggy. We've got a little bit of fog today, but it's normal winter temperatures, and the wind is really not a factor. So I think we might see I think we should at least see some more clean shooters in the top 10 when we're all said and done.
Well, looking down the top 10, Ingrid Landmark-Tanderold goes bib number 6. We've got 7.5 kilometres. That's split into 3 laps of 2.5k, 2 shooting stages and a 150-metre penalty loop for any missed shots. Very happy birthday, 24 today, Maya Clottens. Who else catches your attention as we go through the early order, Chad?
Well, I think the big thing we have to point out is that Dorothea Viera and Lisa Vitozzi are not here for Italy. They're probably training and planning for the Olympic Games, and no real concern there. But we're going to see more of that over the next 2-3 World Cup stops here in Oberhof, Ruhpolding, and of course Nove Mesto prior to the Olympic Games. But everybody is going to give up points for the purpose of getting ready for the Olympic Games, and the 2 Italians are the ones that make that point today. But Lou Jean-Monod is here. She is the World Cup leader. Marin Circaida is here, World Cup second place. And Jean-Monod leads the sprint standings with 1 win, with 3 different winners all season long. I kind of like the fact that Lou Jean-Monod has never won an event, or has only one podium here, and it's a win last year in the pursuit. So Jean-Monod maybe not sprinting her biggest prowess, but I think I'm pegging her for a good shot at the win today.
As we look our way down the order, you mentioned it, there's a couple of DNSs there as well, and Johanna Skottheim and Ella Halvorsen of Sweden haven't travelled as well. You mentioned it, Chad, it's that time of year. We saw it in on Sila Grombonar, where there's a bit of illness going around, but also the athletes have their eyes on the Olympic Games, which is just around the corner. We're just over a month away from the biathlon competition kicking off in Antholz as the Olympic Games opens up in Milan Cortina. It is one of the big balances, isn't it, this time of year? We see it usually around the World Championships, but with, of course, the lack of frequency and the weight that the Olympic Games carries, it is always going to be on the back of athletes' minds that they want to go into that in the best shape possible.
Yeah, and the fact that the Olympic Games is at the highest altitude allowable in the sport, so the athletes have to spend some time preparing for altitude. Everybody has individual reactions to altitude training and altitude settings. So that is going to largely drive when people show up at the World Cups and when they drop out. So I think, you know, the Italians, Vitozzi and Veer, the Italian team is here. Giacomello won the men's race earlier today. But probably personal reasons for the altitude between Vitozzi and Veer, and we'll see that happen again over the next few weeks. And it all has to do with how individuals react to and respond to altitude training. And when the competition is at low altitude, a lot of athletes still go to high altitude to prepare because of the oxygen gaining benefits of living at altitude. But when they are at the Olympic Games, it's absolutely critical that you nail that balance. And so, you know, if that means losing some World Cup starts, then so be it.
So it will be Lea Meyer who gets us underway wearing bib number 1. The Swiss athlete sets a new personal best in Hopfilzen in the pursuit, finishing 14th after climbing from 26. You can see it just tucked in there behind the start gate as we wait for the all clear. And now the Swiss women will emerge. And of course, as with the men, there has been the opportunities for the moments of reflection. And Chad, you know, this is a family that travel together. They travel around Europe and occasionally around the world, as Lea Meyer herself pays tribute to the loss and the life of Sivert Bakken. It's not just the Norwegian team who are affected by his tragic passing. It's everyone connected to the sport.
Yeah, I think my own reaction, I think I felt, you know, I never knew Sivert personally, but I think that, you know, most of these athletes do. It's a small number of people. It's 250 people roughly who know each other relatively. It's like going to a small high school. You know most of the people, at least you know them by sight, and they're also somewhat famous in their countries. But when you lose one in the way that we've lost Sivert Bach, and I think that it's going to hit everybody. And even though I've never knew him personally, a lot of the people who I know who know him are affected by this. So it is you know, it's at least it's at most a degree of one separation for most of us in the sport.
And of course, his story of determination, perseverance, competing at the highest level is one that's inspired those, not just in Norway, not in Europe, but around the world, as Jakiela of Poland, bib number 3, takes to the start gate.
Jakiela with a personal best of 6th in this discipline earlier in the season in Östersund. A bit of a surprise she was that day, and I think that if she can find that kind of ski form again, she's going to find herself in the top 5 once again at some point in her career.
Yeah, missed out in Hopfilzen, struggled in on Sila Grombonar. Can she be back to her best today? This is Tali Harlem of Estonia. Made her World Cup debut well over a decade ago now, but this is her best event.
Yeah, she had a 19th in 2021 in Östersund as a top mark. She skied for Montana State University and NCAA skiing in the United States, and has spent a lot of her time over there. But the Estonian leading her career trying to meet the mark to let the Estonians take her to the Olympic Games.
Vela Lehtinen closing in now on 100 World Cup starts. 3 top 20 finishes and 1 top 10 during that time. Best in the sprint is 13th. But Chad, this is a Finnish team who are on a charge this season.
Yeah, I mean, led by Suvi Minkinen, but I think the whole team has done really well. Sonja Lennemo almost won the opening individual competition, lost to Dorothea Veer by 0.3 of a second, which is a big surprise. So the Finns have a lot going for them in this Olympic season.
And Ingrid Landmark Townevold, the Norwegian, into the start gate. It's been a challenging last 12 months to her, and of course the whole team feeling the loss of one of their own.
I think Townevold is is an athlete who has every bit the ability to continue to win at this level. I think the biggest thing for her is just finding the comfort back on the range again, and maybe the levity that she has experienced, she and her teammates have experienced, will help her just put things in perspective and maybe relax her a little bit on this course, realizing that it's not the end-all be-all of existence to win or not win on the World Cup. She's certainly capable of it.
Well, of course, this race has been brought forward a day where we were due just to have the men's race today, the women tomorrow, and well, interestingly, a few of the teams were due to travel yesterday, including the French team, and it'll be interesting to see how they've reacted to this race being brought forward and whether that's affected the training times at all. Here's Anna Gandler of Austria, 5 flower ceremony finishes, but no podiums.
The first start of her career, and she's one we're looking for the race to pop. She's been 5th once, she's been 6th 4 times, and 7th twice, but never on the podium. And I think that she's due a podium finish here relatively soon. She is relatively young as well. She's just 25 years of age, and comes from a family of great athletes. Her dad was an Olympic silver medalist in the 10-kilometer classic in Nagano in 1998 Olympics, and her mom was, I believe, a good alpine skier. But Gantler certainly taking the family genetics and delivering on the World Cup circuit. Tannerville looking very snappy. Her kicks are nice and sharp. One thing you look for when you're looking for good fitness is at the end of the kick, the nice snap off the snow. You see how Tannerville's ski kind of snappingly comes off the snow. That's a sign that she's in good shape and that she's skiing well and relaxed, but powerful. She's able to feed that power through her legs. And when you start to struggle, that kick, it's not that the kick looks much different, but the end of the kick changes and it starts to get a little bit wounded and slow. She looks very fit right now skiing.
Well, she's got plenty of history in this discipline. This world silver medalist in the sprint in 2019, 5th in this discipline at the last Olympic Games.
She's got the pedigree, and the biggest thing is I think she just has to let herself relax a little bit and just enjoy doing biathlon and find the joy in the shooting again, because all season long she's still skiing at a very competitive level and has all the speed she needs to do what she needs to do in the sport. She's currently on ski performance this season. She is the 6th fastest skier in the world right now.
She'll want to pick up the pace a little bit as she goes through this first lap. This is the 1.1 kilometre mark that she's coming towards now. She was sat in 6th as they went through the first time check at 0.6 of a kilometre, and it does seem like she's picked the pace up slightly coming towards that big red gate.
Yeah, still going to come in behind Lehtinen by 4.2 seconds, but again, I think that she just needs to, she's skiing well in control right now. She heads up this Birksteig climb into the stadium. Deidre Irwin doing her little pre-race dancing.
Anna-Karin Heidenberg of Sweden in the start gate, ready to go. Word that Lucy Anderson is now the quickest through. 0.6 of a kilometre. I'm sure we'll catch a shot of her at some point after a successful break away from the World Cup over the Christmas period as Heidenberg makes her way out onto the course.
25 years of age. She's in her 25th World Cup start.
Started the IBU Cup season with 2 wins in Obertilia. Here's Anna-Maria Lampic.
Lampic is skiing phenomenally well. She's the fastest skier by 1.5% over Justine Barcel-Boucher statistically this year. But the one statistic that's really hurting her is the 55% shooting, and that is also her shooting time. If she can just find the rhythm and confidence, I think she's got a chance to win her first World Cup at some point in the season. And wouldn't it be amazing if she did it at the Olympics?
Well, someone else who's trying to find that rhythm again is Vanessa Voigt. Finished 7th in the mass start in Annecy, equaling her best result of the season so far, but we know what she can do. We know the potential that she has as the German is welcomed out onto the course by the wall of noise by the fans here in Oberhof.
Yeah, among the top of the field, Voigt right now holding down really technically the third best shooting score of the season, but the first place is Marissa Emmons of Belgium, who's only taken 30 shots. If you look at the people who are racing consistently, only Camille Bene is shooting better than Vanessa Voigt, and just barely. She's a percent better than Voigt.
Yeah, clean shooting for 3 races and a further 3 with only 1 miss in each race. Has 1 sprint podium, that's from Ottopa in the 21-22 season. Can she be inspired in the same way her male compatriots were today to find herself on the podium once again today, this time in Oberhof? Here's Regina Ermitz. Well, Chad, she's made a good start to the season, equaling her personal best of 8th in the pursuit in Hochfilzen, and that was climbing from 24th. The big gains for Ermitz this season really have come in her standing shooting, though.
Absolutely, she's up to 91% from. She's always been a good standing shooter, but her shooting improving incredibly in the last 3 years. She was a 73% shooter in 2023, and she's up to 88% now. The highest percentage that she's ever had by 8%, and she's 10% better than she was last year for the season. So Ermitz also skiing well. She's a -1 skier, which is not terribly fast, but if you're combining 90% shooting with that, you're going to have some great performances like she had in Hochfilzen, where she finished 8th, her personal best this year.
So into the first of 2 shooting stages comes Venla Lehtinen of Finland, a lead of 15 seconds as she drops down into the prone position.
Current leader is Jakiela of Poland. She's clean at 8:20.6. There you see, and there's a miss from Lehtinen. She's skiing plenty fast to take the lead, but that miss is going to haunt her. 2.
And yeah, can't limit it to just 1. Of course, Chad, we saw earlier on today that you could get away with 1 miss, and even for the top 10, 2, just owing to the shooting conditions earlier on, but 2 in the first visit does put her in a challenging position. In comes Ingrid Landmark-Tandevold, who's turned the screw on the pace in the last couple of kilometres of that first lap, or last kilometre I should say. She comes in 9.8 seconds in the lead.
Relatively slow start, 17.8 seconds to the first shot, 3.1 seconds between the shots. They're slow, relatively slow shooting first shot time, but 3 seconds is a solid cadence. Maybe a little slow for a sprint, but a good, effective shooting stage for Tandervold.
And we will have a new leader. Bib number 6, Ingrid Landmark-Tandevold, will come out with a decent enough advantage after 1 shooting stage, 3.7 seconds her lead, and well, we've seen already, if you look at the way she was able to just up the pace gradually through that first lap, that she has room to move into on the skis. Janina Hettet-Volz now of Germany.
Hettet-Volz has had a solid comeback season after giving birth to her first child. She's skiing off the charts, but one thing that is holding her back is a 74% standing shoot.
Well, look at this. It's Lucy Anderson who won all 3 of the selection races to book her place at the Olympic Games and the US trial. She comes in 14.7 seconds in the lead. Chad, just how encouraging has this first lap been so far?
Well, we know what she has. She's not even been doing biathlon for a full year and a half. She's in her 2nd season. Started shooting late the spring of 2025. And she takes her time because she's new to the sport, but she has been hitting her target. She hit 9 for 10 with one of the slowest shooting times in the last IBU Cup, and she was 8th in the IBU Cup with the 2nd fastest ski time. And this is a good start for Lucy Anderson. She just needs 1 race where she puts this all together and actually does biathlon at the highest level, because the ability is there. She actually finished in the 24th spot in the World Cup cross-country race that she started in Davos, Switzerland a few weeks ago in December.
And look at that for a lead coming out of shooting 1, the early stages, just 9 athletes through this point, and 12.4 second advantage. Here's Charlotte Rousseau of Canada now on the mat.
Rousseau has had a great season as well. She goes clean 5 for 5. Personal best for her 31st in Östersund in the sprint earlier this season, and she's going to trail the time of Lucy Anderson, but she's going to be among the leaders. She's going to challenge Tandrevold coming out of the prone shoot. So it's going to be USA Canada 1-2. Somebody grab that screenshot.
I was just about to say that's one for the screenshots for our North American viewers, of which I know will be delighted to see America and Canada 1-2 at the minute in the early stages of this one. 10 athletes through shooting one. Lucy Anderson leads us. Michaela Carrara now drops down into the prone position. She trails by 15.9 seconds, the Italian. A depleted Italian squad, as we've already mentioned today. No Lisa Vitozzi or Dorothea Vera taking to the tracks this weekend.
Lucy Anderson now the leader, everybody chasing the American. It's exciting stuff for the American out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And solid shooting by Carrara, one miss though.
Some final stretches and preparation there for Hannah Öberg, as her compatriot comes into the range for the first time with a lead of 0.8 of a second. Anna-Karin Heidenberg.
So she kind of forgets to open her front sight. That has to take an extra second and a half to open it up. A little bit rusty and sloppy range procedure. Heidenberg now has to make that up with perfect shooting. Anderson facing real challenge now from first real challenge from Anna-Karin Heidenberg, and she's clean as well.
And she will come out of the range in the lead, as in comes Anna-Maria Lampic. And you can see Chad the fog just starting to descend once again. 4.4 seconds the lead of the Swede Heidenberg. A first miss for Lampic. That'll be at least once around the penalty loop. Now that's twice.
And amazingly, she's 10 seconds off the pace of Heidenberg. So Lucy Anderson and Heidenberg skiing faster than Anna-Maria Lampic, which is not expected.
Here's Vanessa Voigt, the German on home snow.
Trailed by 15.4 seconds. So Heidenberg and Anderson showing that they might be legitimate if they can hold together in the standing shoot. Charlotte Rousseau from Canada, 11.9 seconds back, sitting in third still too. Controlled shooting from Voigt. Not taking any chances, taking the time she needs.
Composed, calm, collected, Vanessa Voigt through shooting one, 5 out of 5, much to the delight of the home crowd. It won't be enough for the lead, but Chad, sometimes you feel that more important at this point just to get the 5 down instead of hurrying and finding yourself in the penalty loop.
Yeah, the key is to get off to a smooth start, but it's still going to take, to win, it usually takes somebody really taking a risk, and we've not seen any risky shooting yet. Nobody really pushing for a fast shooting time except Lefton, who had 2 penalties. She's got a 26.1 second shooting time, which is the fastest so far, but it's not a very fast time to be the fastest shooting time so far through the field.
Well, this is bib number 1, Leah Meyer, who's back in the range for the second and final time. She's perfect so far. Keeps it going, bib number 1, and just drops the last 9 out of 10 for the Swiss woman on her last visit to the range.
Meyer was going well from after shooting 1. She was trailing the leaders by 31.4 seconds. That's Heidenberg in the lead still. But clean shooting might have had her with a PR today, but I think that 1 penalty loop is going to probably dash her hopes at that.
Here's Jackie Ellard, perfect so far. Comes in with a 10.9 second lead, bib number 3.
Composure. Get a good shot of what the targets over here in the fog, and there's a miss.
2 misses to end, 8 out of 10 for Jakiela of Poland.
So
here is,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, here is Franziska Preuss, who is so loved here in Oberhof. Last year's total score winner. What a year she had, Chad, and it's understandable after coming so close and having to fight so hard through adversity, illness, injury for so many years that after achieving the highest of highs, she hasn't been able to carry it on as such into this season.
Well, the distinction is we see Julia Simon come in and lie down, talking about Preuss. She came in last season. She was remarkably healthy for the season. She always seems to fight colds, fight injury, and she's doing that again this year, and that has cost her the kind of season she had last season.
Here's Julia Simon. Trails by 2.7 seconds coming in, but she's quick through the range, and we will have a new leader here. Julia Simon, perfect in her first visit as she looks to kickstart her season in earnest.
Yeah, this is going to be a good start for Julia Simon, who came into the season not in the greatest shape, but she's now 6.3 seconds ahead of Heidenberg, and now we're seeing the pedigree in her starting to show that wasn't showing in period one.
Second fastest shooting time. Velen Lehtinen currently sits atop the table as we see Hedvig Volt leave the range, and it'll be once around the penalty loop despite coming in 1.9 seconds in the lead.
We saw Tandervold miss 3. She showed up on the screen ever so briefly, but 3 misses from the standing position for Tandervold, and her shooting woes continue.
Jean Richard, who missed out in the majority of competition in Annecy Le Grand Bonnard, as she comes in 1.2 seconds in the lead. Perfect so far, looking to challenge the time of Julia Simon, her teammate. She won't quite get there, but a good start for the Frenchwoman.
Should be right around where Lucy Anderson is, about 10 seconds back when she finally gets to the time check. Maybe a little bit inside that time. She shot near the end of the range.
Well, only competed in the mass start, and well, that was up in the air a little bit as well, just depending on where her ranking would fall after the action in the early part of the week in Le Grand Bonnard. Here is Lucy Anderson, has a lead of 23.5 seconds. A brilliant start to this race. Can she keep it up?
2 for 2. I was going to say this is the big test for her. She's 3 for 3. This is going to be about as good as she's ever done in a World Cup already, even if she misses these last 2 shots. If she can get this last shot, she might figure into it. And she gets 9 for 10. This is a new high water mark for Lucy Anderson. She has never cleaned a race. She's never shot 90% in a World Cup. So this is a great performance, even though she has a miss.
Well, her best coming into today, 42nd in the individual competition at the World Championships. Indeed, all 3 of her best results came at the World Championships in Lenzerheide, with 56th being her best ever finish in a sprint, and on course to change that today. Here's Johansen of Norway now.
Now to Michelle Rousseau.
To the North American charge, and it's the Canadian Charlotte Rousseau coming in 6.5 seconds in the lead. There's her miss. Can she limit it to just 1 like Lucy Anderson? She can do.
Well, Gondler and Anderson are tied to the 10th of a second at shooting 2 in first spot. You just see this time with Gondler, but to the 10th of a second, Anderson is tied for second. So a good race, but both the Austrian Gondler and Anderson with 1 miss each.
And here is Hannah Oberg, who ended 2025 on a high. And well, Chad, she does love racing here in Oberhof. She did the double at the World Championships in the individual and mass start in 2023, and also took the silver medal in the sprint that year. Is this the result? Obviously, we saw at Le Grand Bonnard, a sign that she is getting back to that very best that we expect of her.
I think so. I think that, you know, I don't want to be superlative or have too much conjecture into her season, but I do think that if she's not skiing as fast as that point, it's by design. I think that the Swedes tend to come into these races a little bit heavy with the training load on championship seasons, so we might not see the Swedes as strong as they were in period 1. But certainly Hannah Oberg is looking better than she has all last year.
9 out of 10 for Anna-Karin Heidenberg. Miss now 2 for Marketa Davidova, who had a good first lap, came in 1.3 seconds in the lead, but has lost all of that time now, and it will be damage limitations in the second lap and second visit to the range. Not long after her sister left the start gate, Elvira Erberg poised and ready to go. Chad, what does she have to prove today?
Well, everything. She's a huge athlete with a massive resume, and she has no podium finishes ever in Oberhof. At some point, she has to change her luck here.
As we go back to the range, and Lena Repinch of Slovenia, trailing coming in by 13.6 seconds.
Nice, solid performance. Great, stable shooting. Lena Repinch has proven that she's been tantalizingly close to the podium this season, and she's going to fall just outside the times of the leaders, but she's been remarkably consistent on the shooting range.
Yeah, she's had some really eye-catching performances, a personal best in the individual coming in Östersund at 16, but she's had those moments where she's come so close to pushing into that top 10. Vanessa Voigt now in the range as Suvi Minkinen prepares to exit the start gate. There's finally the first shot from Vanessa Voigt, really taking her time to get to the first, Chad.
Yeah, she normally does that unless she's feeling really confident. Voigt, you can see what she's thinking based on how she's approached the shooting. If she's cautious, you know that she doesn't have a lot of confidence, but she'll still hit the target. She knows how to get them down, even if it's slow. And that was slow, but she's got all 5.
So 10 out of 10 for Vanessa Voigt on home snow. The German fans love it. She'll fall behind the time of Heidenberg, but will be willed on around this final lap. A perfect day in the range for Vanessa Voigt as she looks to get back to her very best, and where we know that she can compete with her full potential.
Deidre Irwin comes in, has a miss. Trailing by 16.5 seconds, so having the best season of her career, but this is not going to be one of her best races so far. She's got to pick up the pace and shoot clean standing now to be in contention.
Here's the World Cup leader now out on the course, Lou Jean Monod, wearing that split red and yellow bib. Finished second the last 2 seasons. Could this be her year? This is the woman who she finished second to last season, Franziska Preuss, trailing by just 2.5 seconds, Chad, coming in.
This is good.
That's behind the time of Julia Simon. That is not bad at all. She'll need quick shooting, though.
This is the time that you're looking for in the situation for Preuss. She has to be competitive on the skis. We know she can rail the targets, which she's doing very well right now.
Oh, look at that from Franziska Preuss. Well, she knows how to put on a show, and she knows how to do it on home snow. So she will come around the corner. We'll keep our eyes on the time as we go back to Suvi Minkinen, who's out on the course. It's 1.6 seconds. Franziska Preuss trails Julia Simon by. And Chad, we've been waiting for this.
This is good. This is what Preuss needs. 1.6 seconds off of Simon. Still lots of competitors to come, but that is a sign that Preuss is back the way she needs to be back, mostly with her physical ability back intact.
And here is Julia Simon, just slowing as she came into shooting two, trailing Heidenberg by 0.6 of a second, but she's quick here and she's perfect so far. Is it 10 for 10? It is for Julia Simon, who will have a big lead here after shooting two.
Clean on the range, that's the key. And look at the snappiness of her technique. She looks fast, she looks fit, charging, and she's going to be comfortably in the lead and a commanding control. This is going to be hard to beat.
31.9 seconds, the advantage of Julia Simon, going bib 22, and that will be the mark that will now be aimed at for all of those who follow. Here's Anna Weidel leaving with a perfect visit in the prone position, and she will go into sixth, just ahead of Rebecca Passler of Italy.
Battle right behind Anderson. Here to the finish now is number 8, Anna Gantler, 9 for 10. Still being... Go ahead.
Shooting of Hettich Volz. 9 out of 10 for her so far, and that is what it will stay as Anna Gantler towards the line. She will take the lead as Jean Richard leaves the standing shoot with a miss. So won't be able to better the time of Julia Simon, who's just down the road ahead of her.
Now here's Lucy Anderson. She hit Gantler by 2 seconds at the last time check. She's going to come across the line and put a huge amount of time on Gantler. 4.7 seconds. A great last loop for Lucy Anderson. Take the lead.
Well, going in the early bibs, bib number 9, Lucy Anderson, you can take a bow. That is a job well done, and carrying on the momentum and the confidence, no doubt, Chad, that she'd have gained during that winter break. Just maybe competing with some relief. Now she knows she's got that Olympic place booked.
I think the most amazing thing is the fact that she hasn't done biathlon for 2 straight years, and she comes across the finish line in a World Cup lead, even if it is from bib 9. To hit 9 for 10 at this point in her career, and granted, her shooting scores are slow. Their times are slow. Her shooting time, still one of the slowest from prone, with everybody through prone. But she can ski with the best of them, and she proves it today with a big closing last lap. She's got the fastest final lap time at the moment, 4.6 seconds faster than Tandreville in third, and Yakiela 2.4 seconds faster. And her course total time is also 14 seconds faster than Tandreville. So the American's skiing very well, but she's going to be supplanted by Michaela Carrara for the lead at the finish.
And all in blue, the Italian comes towards the line, and as you rightly say, Chad, we will have a new leader, and it is Michaela Carrara across the line. 9 out of 10 on the day for her, 11.2 seconds. Her lead at this point, but not too far behind her is Anna-Caroline Heidenberg. She's at the 6.7 kilometre mark and leads at that point of the race.
We can see
get back to the range.
Now we've got the shooting of Hanna Öberg. That's good stuff. Fast shooting and confidence. I think the biggest thing we see there is that Hanna Öberg shot that confidently.
Well, she has an affinity with this course, and of course secured her first win in over 1,000 days in Le Grand Bonnat, taking victory in the sprint. Here's her teammate Heidenberg across the line, and a new leader. 10.1 seconds the lead now of Heidenberg. 9 out of 10 on the day for the Swede.
Fastest ski time on the course so far, 15 seconds faster than Lucy Anderson.
We'll take a look at this time around the first lap. Elvira Öberg has a 7.9 second advantage. It's her sister who is the leader. Just 0.4 of a second ahead of Julia Simon. And will we have a new leader? We will. Elvira Öberg will surpass the time of her sister Hannah.
She came in 7.9 seconds back. She's going to lose time to her sister in the range, but still leading by 2 seconds. Öberg at top of the leaderboard in Oberhof. Who would have thought?
Well, it's been a long time since we've seen that, Chad, as in comes Suvi Minkinen. Can she disrupt the Öberg party at the top of the table after shooting 1? She does come in with the lead. Needs sharp shooting, though, to compete with the 2 sisters ahead of her. Adjusts her sights slightly.
She's got the speed to do it. She competed at the end of the period 1 in Le Grand Bonnat after having food poisoning. She can put that behind her now, and she looks like full-on fitness is back.
Exceptional from Suvi Minkinen once again. Well, she is really emerging as the one to watch in the sprint. Vanessa Voigt, the German, across the line. Perfect shooting on the day, only enough for 5th at the moment. And all eyes now on Suvi Minkinen. Just to confirm, it is Suvi Minkinen who is in the lead now at shooting 1. 4.4 seconds her advantage as we see Lou Jean Monod. This is Regina Ermitz, perfect shooting on the day for the Estonian. She's across the line in 4th as the World Cup leader is in the range for the first time. Trailing coming in, 5.2 seconds behind the time of Minkinen.
Good, solid stuff. Not terribly fast, but not terribly slow. 30.7 seconds, not going to be among the fastest shooters. and will trail Minkinen. Minkinen is shooting faster than Jean Monod, but 8.5 seconds is doable.
And Lou Jean Monod is into 5th as well. The fog has well and truly descended once again. We will have a new leader at the finish line, and it will be Julia Simon, who just looking back, she's down to 4th now out of shooting 1, out of shooting 2. She still has the lead. Here's Franziska Preuss, who's looking to challenge that as Simon comes towards the line. A first miss for Franziska Preuss. Julia Simon was perfect in the range and is across the line with a 40.2 second lead.
That is a big lead over Heidenberg, and Heidenberg is skiing well.
Well, a challenging day, just to jump in, Chad, for Justine Bressard-Boucher, who thought that she was going to be able to carry that momentum from Le Grand Bernard through. 2 misses on her first visit to the range, and well, it's not what she would have wanted at all.
No, we're still waiting for that Bressard-Boucher to come to the surface, who won the mass start with clean shooting at the Olympic Games. You can't count on her for that consistently, but you know it's in her, and she just has to find that rhythm.
Here's Hedwig Waltz, who's cheered towards the line by the German fans. 9 out of 10, but she's been good on the skis today, and it's put her in a really strong position. She's across the line in 2nd. Chad, 9 out of 10 in the range, and well, that really speaks to the work that she's done on the skis there.
Yeah, she's never been this good as a skier. Before she took last year off for her first child, she was a middle of the pack, near the front half of the field, but never this fast. She just outskied Lampic by 2.9 seconds course total time. Fastest skier on the day, Hedwig Waltz, and she absorbed that miss and is currently hitting in 2nd spot on the podium, 25 seconds back of Simone. Simone, she's basically split this time between Heidenberg and Simone, but she's still 25.9 seconds back, which tells you she's skiing a little bit better than Simone.
A miss for Anna Weidel as Jean Richard comes towards the line. 9 out of 10 for the Frenchwoman, who had been desperate to end on the podium today, but it's not going to be enough, Chad. She's across the line in 4th.
No, but it's enough to set her up for a good pursuit competition. I think that's the biggest thing for Richard. She's looking at 4 shooting competition as her best bet, but it's a solid ski performance for the young French woman. She comes in 20 seconds back of Hedwig Waltz in 6th on the ski time.
Here's Malin Chikaida, the blue bib, and well, what a season she's having. 2nd in the overall standings, and Chad, she's still just 22 years old, but trails Suva Minkinen by 14.2 seconds into the range.
Yeah, she's not her usual speedy self that we've seen in the first period of World Cup competition. She's well off that time. I would have expected her to have a negative time, but she's plus 14 even this late in the start order, and I think she's either got to pick it up or she's just probably not quite in the fitness that she was in the first period. Pretty common, though, to have that happen, to slow down the second period, especially with the championship coming.
She only had 3 podium finishes before the start of this season. Already she has 3 in this season, and her first World Cup win in the mass start in the last race weekend before the Christmas break. Here's Carolina Knotten of Norway.
Not quite as competitive on the skis as I think she needs to be, but if she cleans enough misses on the day to sneak in there, she puts these down relatively quickly, but she's taking her time on a miss. That's not going to do it for Knotten. 2 times around the penalty loop, and she's not skiing anywhere near fast enough to ski that off right now.
Well, we've spoken about absentees. Worth mentioning, it won't be too long before we see her. Selina Glotien has returned from illness after, with Franziska Preuss catching that horrible illness at the end of Östersund. She will be back later on in the start order as we go back to Hannah Erberg, who came in 4.2 seconds in the lead but has a miss, Chad.
Yeah, the miss is going to put her, 2 misses. It's just not, she's just not as sharp as she needs to be with her focus on the shooting range. Standing this season, Hannah Oberg is 80%, and she only shoots 60% today. But here is a chance for Océane Michelin to get her name into the top of the order, but she misses 2 of them.
And that is Michelin out of the picture.
Just not the follow through on the focus. Both, if you look at both Océane Michelin and Hannah Oberg, it's kind of like they got to the third shot and then kind of just lapse in concentration, and we're seeing that amongst certainly with Hannah Oberg. When she gets it right, she can go clean 4 straight stages. But something about the sprint is difficult for her.
This is Nikita Davidova riding along with her teammate. As, on both the men's and the women's races, the Czech athletes have been closely packed together, so have had each other along for the ride. Elvira Oberg, though, goes perfect, 10 out of 10, and leads by 11.3 seconds coming in, and she will be the leader coming out of shooting 2, ahead of Julia Simon.
Her ski times look great. Her first lap of skiing in the first lap, she was the 3rd fastest by 7.2 seconds back of Bressa Boucher, so she's skiing among the leaders. 6 seconds in the lead. This is her race to lose now in the last lap. She's 10 for 10.
And there is Anna Magnusson, who comes out of shooting 1 in 3rd, trailing by 4.8 seconds, but perfect through the first visit as we go back to the finish line. And also see Suvi Minkinen there as well. Passler across the line in 4th, but all our attention on Suvi Minkinen, who's 4 for 4. That's 5, and it's 10 out of 10 once again for Suvi Minkinen, who just stumbles but recovers herself well. And this is another huge performance from the Finn.
A chance to battle Elvira Oberg for the win in the final lap. Does Suvi Minkinen have it on the skis? She's shown that she does so far. 10 seconds to get to that time check. I think she'll be the new leader.
Keep your eyes on the time. Suvi Minkinen will take the lead by 4.8 seconds. What a season. What a year. 12 months completely characterized by this huge upturn in performances from Suvi Minkinen. The stumble doesn't matter. A shake of the head, recovers herself well. 10 for 10 in the range. And how about that?
It's a big performance for her as she's going to have to find the ski form of her life, though, to take down Elvira Oberg, but she's got it right now. For her time on the second lap was just 1.7 seconds shy of Elvira Oberg. They're the fastest 2. Then Haydenberg still holding 3rd ski time through the second lap.
It's all going to come down to the final lap, and coming into shooting 2, trailing by 15.3 seconds, despite being perfect so far in the range, is Lu Jean-Monod. What can she do to recover her cause here?
Well, even clean, it's not enough. You can see the time ticking away. She's just not on it in the skis like the leaders. She may clean here, but it's going to be tough for her to get back in it. And that miss is going to pretty much seal her fate as being likely off the podium.
And now it's just about finding that position for the pursuit tomorrow. And of course, Chad, she is so strong in the pursuits. Across the line in 2nd, recovering well from that missed shot on the final visit. Franziska Preuss, for now, holds the silver medal position, 23.5 seconds behind Julia Simon, but what a race we have on behind her.
Preuss, the 6th fastest timer on that last lap and 4th overall ski time. She's 7.9 seconds back of her teammate Hedvig Wald. So the Germans come in skiing really well. They must have great skis today. The German team is Hedvig Wald and Preuss skiing kind of an outsized ski performance for the top 2 German women today. Lucy Anderson still with just 24 seconds back in the ski time of all these athletes in the finish. But Lucy Anderson is one of the slowest shooters in the field. She is the 48th of 51 shooters. She spent 1 minute 12 seconds in the shooting range, as opposed to Hannah Oberg, who spent 47 seconds. So she's nearly giving away a penalty loop and a half just on shooting time. But that will come down as Anderson continues to season as a World Cup skier.
Well, Oberg through 6.1 kilometers with a 12.3 second advantage over Julia Simon. She's never won here in Oberhof. We saw over the shoulder there a shot of her sister Hannah, who's had so much success here. It's been Ruhpolding that's been the happy hunting ground for Elvira Oberg, where of course we will travel to next. And she is making her way around this final lap with a decent lead here, but we say that with caveat. Over her shoulder is Suvi Minkinen, who's on a charge, but of course Chad, with the ski prowess that Elvira Oberg has, and of course determined to find herself back atop the podium, she'll be hard to beat today.
Well, the second lap was led by Oberg and Minkinen. Now here's Minkinen coming through. They're separated on the course by just 1 minute in real time. meaning Minkinen started a minute back of Oberhof. So we have just a minute to determine who is
and it
leading the
won't be
race.
enough. And
No,
it won't be enough at the 6.1 kilometre mark. She's lost a decent chunk of time here. Unfortunately, Suvi Minkinen, it's all now in favour of Elvira Oberg, who continues to push. And while Suvi Minkinen needs to dig deep to ensure that she finishes in the silver medal position here, because there's not much chat between her and Julia Simon.
Now Minkinen's not looking at really trying to win. She's trying to hang on to second at this point, because Elvira Oberg is famous for skiing the last lap ridiculously fast, and you just got to expect her to do that. Meanwhile, Simone also skied ridiculously fast in the last lap, and Minkinen has that to deal with.
Well, Elvira Oberg's last win was at the World Championships as Malin Chikaida goes 10 out of 10, but just off it in terms of the pace today. You'll see her numbers already gone into the positive and will continue ticking up. She'll fall outside of the podium places, leaving shooting 2. Chad, it's been a long wait for Elvira Oberg, it feels, since that really emotional day, the final day of the World Championships, and that moment between Elvira Oberg and her sister Hannah. It would be a really big and you feel powerful performance for the Swede if she can hang on here.
Absolutely. You kind of feel like Oberhof is sort of an albatross on this woman's back. She's never had great success here, as we've said. No podium finishes in individual start races. And here she is. She's going to take down the time of Julia Simon by a comfortable margin, I believe, by the time we get to the finish. It was 13.6 seconds at 6.7 kilometers.
Well, we saw what she and, of course, her sister as well could do here last season in the relay races. They performed so well as a duo in particular. I think it was the mixed relay where they had to fight back so hard, Elvira Oberg and her sister Hannah. She has a bronze medal from Oberhof in the pursuit last season, and now she comes towards the line. A big response, a huge performance from Elvira Oberg across the line in first, and look at that for a final lap. 23.6 seconds, the lead of Elvira Oberg. Could this be her first win on the World Cup, her first top level win since the Lenzerheide World Championships, where she took the mass start? It's been a long wait to cross the line just behind her sister Hannah, who usually performs so well here in Oberhof, but it's the roles that are reversed today, Chad.
Minute 12 back, still moves Hannah Oberg into the top 10 in 8th place. And here's Suvi Minkinen now trying to get onto the podium. She's got 25 seconds to get to the finish, and I don't think it's definitely not going to be a win for Minkinen, but she should be able to hang on for a podium spot. She's got Simone at 2.9 seconds behind her at the last time check. So she's got to get there before Simone's time to get on the podium.
And so the time of Elvira Oberg passes, a first victory since the Lenzerheide World Championship for Elvira Oberg, surely secured. But the incredible form of Suvi Minkinen continues. She was perfect on the range and she's given it all on the skis, and it will surely be enough for the silver medal, as the time of Julia Simon won't be touched. It will be close, but it is still fairly comfortable for Suvi Minkinen. Across the line in second, 21 seconds behind the time of Elvira Oberg. Anna Magnusson now has a miss. Chad, this could have been a good opportunity to see her back into the podium positions, but one miss, it won't be enough today.
She would have been in there, but this, like we said, the men's race, coulda, shoulda, woulda, is the sport of biathlon. But the difference today is in the women's competition is that the first 3 are clean. Oberg, Minkinen, and Simone, all clean, all within 23 seconds of each other. So that sets up a really great pursuit competition off of this sprint with Minkinen and Simone, basically the penalty loop back of Elvira Oberg, who finally is victorious in Oberhof.
Yeah, first victory here in Oberhof for Elvira Oberg.
Should point out Nadia Moser of Canada slides into 14th spot, just ahead of Lucy Anderson of the United States. They're currently in 14th and 15th, the Canadian and American. So great performance from North America today.
And this would be a huge step up, as we've mentioned, for Lucy Anderson. We're back to Lou Jean Monod as Selina Grossian starts her race with a miss. She said it was fresh beginnings, new starts, this her first time on the World Cup since Östersund, taking time away to recover from illness. 2 misses now, not the dream return that she would have wanted, as Lou Jean-Monod coming towards the finish line. Wants to position herself well ahead of the pursuit at the weekend. Finds herself 54.9 seconds back and in 6th. Chad usually would say she has found herself done enough despite the miss and, of course, lacking the ski edge from 6th. But when Elvira Oberg, of course, we know is excellent at pursuits, is sat at the front of the order right now, it's definitely advantage Oberg going into the final days of individual racing this weekend.
Yeah, and just looking at the overall standings, you've got Jean-Monod over Tjirkaite. She's going to be finished well ahead of Tjirkaite today, so you know, the biggest threat to her overall standing is Anna Magnussen at this point, or Suvi Minkkinen. They're in 4th and 5th coming into the stage today behind Lou Jean-Monod.
Here's Inka Hämäläinen, who's across the line in 13th, which would just be, if it stands, 1 place behind her best performance. That was at the start of this season in the sprint. A huge step up this season for her, and well, just 20 years old. She is really flying. Here's someone else who's, of course, the holder at the minute of the blue bib, the under-23s competition, just 22 years old still, Malin Tjirkaite. And really, Chad, no one competing at a close enough level to take the blue bib off her back, but she would have wanted more from today.
I think with the clean shooting, she certainly would have. She's trailing Elvira Oberg by 23.9 seconds, and they've shot the same. But I think where Tjirkaite was going into the holiday break, the New Year's break, she would have been at the top of the order at this point with clean shooting, based on how she was skiing in P1.
Here's Oceane Michelon, who has tried to recover her race from dropping 2 in the first visit in the prone position. She still finds herself in the top 10 at the moment, Chad, 51.4 seconds back. That's not a bad place to be.
No, if you consider that she's the first person with 2 misses on the day, and she's still in 9th place, 46 seconds back. She's skiing even with Elvira Oberg, who is the fastest on the course so far. So Michelin showing that her fitness is there, but the 2 misses are just keeping her back from shining today. Tjirkaite looking a little bit better. She looks like she's finding her rhythm a little bit better in this final lap. It's a little groggy in the first ski lap.
Still won't be able to find herself ahead of Julia Simon and onto the podium, but another flower ceremony and continuing to put pressure at the top of the standings. Lou Jean-Monod is behind her today in 7th, so a successful day in the office, Chad, in terms of the overall standings for Malin Tjirkaite.
Yeah, for not being a super exciting day as far as her skiing ability, I think that was a nice, was a very mature defensive performance today for her in the overall World Cup standings.
Lydia Mettler of Switzerland in for her first visit to the range. 95 bibs today, 94 athletes starting. The 1 miss once around the 150-metre penalty loop, as we're back with Oceane Michelon, who's trying to push her way up the top 10. 9th as things stand as she makes her way around this stunning final lap. It's beautiful scenery, Chad, and it does, though, throw up its challenges in terms of the climbs. Yeah,
it's a very challenging climb. Bergsteig, the long climb takes probably, these women probably close to 6 minutes of each lap, and most of it is climbing. The thing about it is the descents are very quick, so you don't get a recovery for very long when you do go downhill, because they're so fast. You're kind of like hanging on for dear life. Your quads are working, and then you have to turn up the pace as you climb for a long period of time. It's about a 6-minute loop, so they're climbing probably 5 of that 6.5 minutes. Michelin with the fastest course time on the second lap of 6:52.7. Michelin showing the ski speed that I've kind of been waiting for all season, but you put the 2 in front of it, 2 misses, and all of a sudden you're off the podium, and that's going to be Michelon's situation. She can combine slightly better shooting dexterity with this speed. She is going to be formidable.
She does come across the line in 8th, able to limit some of the damage caused by those 2 misses, Chad. But of course, as you mentioned there, you've been a big fan of hers for a long while, and there is still plenty of room to see her grow after that first World Championships medal, first World Cup podium towards, of course, the second half and end of last season. The future is still looking very bright for Oceane Michelon.
Yeah, she dropped a little bit of time to Elvira Uberg on that last lap. She was 18.9 seconds back, but she was beating Uberg on the ski time until that last loop. So just an application of power at different times of the race course between Uberg and Michelon.
And here is Anna Magnusson, previous wearer of the yellow bib this season, and she will finish inside of the top 10, just about. Where will it place her? Just ahead of Oceane Michelon. She goes into 8th now, 59.9, just inside by a fraction of a minute behind her teammate Elvira Uberg.
Step forward for Magnusson, though. She went into the Grand Bonnat, the last World Cup in the first trimester, with the World Cup lead and lost it by finishing 38th, 16th, and 20th. Well, that felt like a far drop from where she had been finishing, where she had been 4 straight podium finishes. And now she's close to the podium again and back in the top 10, so that feels a little bit more like it for Anna Magnusson.
Lara Wagner of Austria, second miss on the day for her. That's now 3. I've seen athletes struggle with the stand in particular over the course of the 2 races today. A reminder, no racing tomorrow because of the expected bad weather that's forecast in Oberhof. Everything's been bumped forward, and that's why we have our women's sprint today before the action resumes on Saturday, with the women's relay and the men's pursuit before the reverse on Sunday.
Und in wenigen Augenblicken begrüßen wir Selina Grotian dann zurück zum zweiten Schießen, und sie braucht unsere Unterstützung. Für sie geht es gerade um die Teilnahme am Verfolger am Wochenende. In wenigen Augenblicken.
Here's Camille Benet, 9 out of 10, but Chad clearly missing something on the skis.
Yeah, and this is kind of one of the things I was concerned about with Camille Benet. She had a great first trimester and comes into the World Cup second trimester in sixth spot in the overall standing. But you started seeing a slight weakening of her ski performance in the end of the first trimester, and with somebody who's maybe not hasn't exhibited the strength of a full season of skiing at that level, oftentimes can drop in their ski performance. I'm a little worried that she might have seen her best days of the season. We'll see if she can bounce back, but that was a ski performance that was not on par with what she's done up to this point of the year.
Crossed the line in 26, a minute and 38 seconds behind the time of Elvira Uberg. We have 65 of our starting 94 across the line, and it is, of course, still Elvira Uberg that leads. You can see the latter of the top 10 and the top 15 there. And all, Chad, within 90 seconds, and with a good chance when it comes to the pursuit tomorrow, or not, I keep saying tomorrow, not tomorrow, the pursuit come the weekend. A couple you can see there of the clean shooting, and the top 4, Chad, all with clean shooting today.
Yeah, a different story than the men's competition, and it spread things out a little bit more because they are the fastest skiers. You've got Elvira Uberg with the fastest course time, also shooting clean, winning by 10 seconds. Minkinen is shooting a little bit faster than Uberg, and Minkinen with the 7th fastest ski time, losing 25 seconds to it on the range, but making that time up on the shooting range with quick shooting. She finishes just 21.1 seconds back of Uberg. And this is an effort of the athlete we've not seen before. Bib 83. Osna Skrede. Well, it's her 3rd World Cup start today. She's had a 35th earlier in the season on Secret Le Grand Bornand. She got to start there and raced the sprint pursuit where she went 35th and 48th respectively. But the relatively new name, 25 years of age, getting a start here for Norway. Will go to the penalty loop two times, but should qualify for the top 60 for the pursuit.
Yeah, made a good start to the season in Oberhof, taking silver medal in the one of the two sprints that played out there. The line is full of Estonia, 2 misses on the day for her as well, but safely inside the top 60, which of course with the pursuits on the horizon is the target for all of these athletes. And you say there, Chad, as she goes around the loop, we'll keep our eyes on just where Skloder comes out in terms of that top 60 picture.
The North Americans having a very solid day across the board so far, and still competitors out on the course, but currently in the standings, we should watch Osne Skrede leave the penalty loop for the second time. She'll check in just outside the top 50. But Nadia Moser with a career best, I believe that is a career best for her. I'm going to double check that. It is indeed. Currently sitting 19th in the standings, 9 for 10 on the day. Lucy Anderson, 2 places back in 21st for the United States. And then we've got Margie Freed currently holding down the 37th spot at the finish with 9 for 10 on the day, and that would be her personal best competition. And then Rousseau in 44th for Canada, Dieter Irwin 45th for the United States, and Pascal Paradis currently out on course, sitting in 67th after shooting 2. Solid day for North America.
Three athletes left out on the course. Famina of Kazakhstan, one miss in the prone position. Of Ukraine across the line, just one place in front of her compatriot, both with 2 misses, as we look back at Elvira Erberg and her first win here in Oberhof.
Yeah, it's got to feel good after all these years. Not only first win, first podium, first top 3 finish for her, after she's watched her sister with oodles of success. 2 wins for Hannah Uberg here in the past, with 7 podiums. So Elvira gets her name atop the leaderboard as Linda Zingerle comes across the line. A very famous name in Italian biathlon. I believe it's her dad, Andres Zingerle, one of the coaches for the Italian team. And a legend of the sport in Italy.
Well, Chad, a word on Suvi Minkkinen as well. She always gives absolutely everything, and another silver medal on the World Cup. Not quite enough to secure the gold today, despite coming out of shooting 2 in a very good position. But this really is her event, isn't it? The sprint, a 5th now podium at either the World Cup, including a World Championships podium as well. She's made this event her own.
Yeah, she'll more than take it today. She knows that Elvira Uberg is very hard to beat in the final lap. She's notoriously good at closing. As we watch Salmela now try to finish in the top 30 from deep in the field. Started with a bid 80 out of 95 starters. So Grotjian, who took a break after the first World Cup weekend in Östersund, didn't feel quite right physically, and took some time off to adjust for this all-important Olympic season, and showing some signs of life, coming back here in the top, currently fighting for a top 30. Very talented athlete, though. And her talent is recognizable across the nations.
Just over the shoulder of Shauna Pendry, you can see coming through the fog, Selena Grothian. As we've already mentioned, of course, Chad, incredibly talented, has that World Cup win in the mass start in Le Grand Bonnat last season, that one of her 2 podiums, and well, was going from strength to strength last season after, well, an incredible junior career where she picked up 2 gold medals at the World Championships in 2023. Finishes in 30th, has work to do tomorrow, but Chad, she'll be happy to have her health, have her fitness, and we'll take take the weekend and the pursuit as an opportunity to climb.
Yeah, and I think that's just a sign of what the junior success can put the pressure on an athlete, especially in a country like Germany where they're so rabid for a new star in the sport. And Selena Grothian, I knew you're feeling some of that pressure. She's only 21 years of age. She's had some hiccups now in the last year. She won her first World Cup just over a year ago in Le Grand Bonnat, and has struggled to reach that level since. But a step forward for her today. I think it's a good move for her, and she just got to give herself time, and everybody's got to give her the time to develop into the world-class athlete I think she'll eventually be.
Well, here is Shauna Pendry, who is 9 out of 10, a great result for the young Brit, who continues really to go from strength to strength. We'll see where this will place her as she comes out of shooting too. She was getting closer and closer to a first pursuit qualification. She's still in hunt of that, and will be a little way off that today. But Chad, her shooting is really hard to fault.
Yeah, and it's world-class shooting. She looks like she belongs on the World Cup shooting range. The biggest thing for Pendry is to find both the skiing ability. She's still young enough that she can improve a lot in the skiing, and I think the other thing is just making sure that the service to her skis is competitive every time she goes out there. That's something that's largely out of her control, but something that the federation, the British Federation, can control. And but like anything, it takes money. It takes the resources to develop the ski technicians who can deliver those kinds of skis. And but Pendry has a bright future.
Skrider across the line in 49th. She books her place in the pursuit on Sunday.
Right now, the bubble skier is Chalik of Ukraine, sitting in 60th, about 227 back. Nobody really looking to threatening that over the final. A little more than a handful of competitors still on course. Pendry's one of them. Pfeiffer of Germany still on course, or Canada still on course. Blydell of Latvia. Kosargina of Lithuania still finishing up her day. But nobody really in serious contention. We've got Delidovic, the biathlon refugee team. She's originally from Belarus, but has taken refuge in Poland. Officially recognized by IBU as a biathlon refugee team, a new development for those who are stateless at the moment. And Delidovic is currently sitting in the 67th spot at the 5.5 kilometer.
And here is Shauna Pendry. Had a brilliant result in Hopfilton, finishing, as we mentioned, just outside of the pursuit places, 62nd. Yeah, that was earlier on this season, backing up a great sprint race in Östersund. 67th she was on that day, and then 72nd in the sprint at Le Grand Bonnat. Chad, yeah, we look at Hopfilton and Östersund and those brilliant results. This is a different beast when it comes to what the athletes are having to work with in terms of the climbing and the condition underfoot as well.
Yeah, I think that the Oberhof course tends to be, for athletes who are still developing and younger, tends to be a little bit much. You need some incredibly high oxygen carrying capacity to succeed on these courses. You watch Penry skiing; she's got all the basic technical the technical details are down. Her technique is solid. She's got good body position. The biggest thing here is just increasing the fitness level and high performance training after increasing the fitness level, and that just comes with time. Penry will improve. She's young enough that at 23 years of age, if she gives herself the time and the Brits support her well enough, she should have some very respectable results in the coming 3-4 years. It's going to take more than a year or two. It's just that's the nature of the beast.
Made her debut on the World Cup at Le Grand Bonnard last season, and a special return, of course, for her just before Christmas to go back to the place where she made her debut. She's based out of France and spends her time there when she's not training and, of course, competing as a cross-country ski instructor. And it's an exciting time, Chad, as well. We've already mentioned through the course of the last couple of weeks with Jacques Jeffries moving over from competing under the French flag to now the British flag. It's an exciting time when you have athletes who are pushing the levels and the standards for a small nation like Great Britain.
And that's where it starts. I mean, it wasn't long ago that the United States was in a similar position as Great Britain 15, 20 years ago. And just step by step, as you increase the professionalism of the sport and the operation of the national team, you start to break down those barriers that were, at least psychologically, there collectively in your organization's mindset. And you just gotta keep going. Shauna Penry is, at 23 years of age, is somebody I think they can get behind and continue to develop. When you look at Nadia Moser and Lucy Anderson, they're kind of in the same position. And they're both almost both in the top 20. Anderson 21st.
And when you look at some of the smaller nations, of course, we were joking before we came on air, Chad, it's the last week is really the first time that Great Britain and the UK has seen its first heavy nationwide snowfall of the year and, well, of the last couple of years that I can remember. And they have to spend a lot of their time training abroad and training away. And, well, here's the young athlete, the 21-year-old that you mentioned not so long ago.
Yes, Darya Dolidovic. She is the Biathlon refugee team and getting her first World Cup start of her career coming to the line. And she's going to finish just outside the top 60. She won't win in the pursuit event, but a respectable start for Darya Dolidovic, who resides in Poland now, and got help from the great cross-country skier for that nationals, for the visa to get into Poland, was helped greatly by Justyna Kowalczyk, the great cross-country skiing champion, the 4-time Tour de Ski winner and Olympic medalist. So the great story, Dolidovic's father is a 6-time Olympian in cross-country skiing for Belarus, but they have left Belarus for Poland, and the young Dolidovic, Darya, 21 years of age, is competing stateless from their home in Poland.
Well, it was great to hear the support as she came across the line. The biathlon family is something that we've spoken about a lot over the course of the last month or so, and is always the running undertone of the competitions wherever we travel around Europe. But that stems to the fans as well, Chad, and particularly for these latter bibs. And as we see our last few athletes across the line, they're always there to make sure that everyone is cheered home. Just 4 more athletes, 3 more now to cross the line here in Oberhof.
6 Polina Yegorova of Kazakhstan comes across the line in 91st. Yeah, that's a great point, Ellen, is that one thing that the International Biathlon Union does that is relatively unique is they support athletes from across the different countries. And if you think about Dolidovic, you see Tandervold being consoled, another tough shooting performance for her. It's a tough couple of weeks in general for the Norwegians, but a lot of support. Shauna Pendry coming across the line now for Great Britain, another great story, and I think that the IBU does a great job of supporting these smaller nations in their development, and that is why you get a guy like Campbell Wright from New Zealand coming up and now racing for the United States, but is able to reach this level from his junior years when he raced for New Zealand, with New Zealand having almost no real biathlon program to speak of.
Gina of Lithuania across the line, 9 out of 10. Good shooting day for her, and she will finish in 85th. Bib 95, the last of our allocated bibs today. Maciejkova, Slovakia. Still in her first 20 World Cup starts. Her first World Cup start of the season, has been competing on the IBU Cup in Obertiliac, Ridnaun and Lenzerheide. Joining up with the Slovakian team here in Oberhof. And that concludes our bumper day of racing here in Oberhof, a double day of action. Elvira Oberg taking victory for the very first time in Oberhof, ahead of Suvi Minkkinen and Julia Simon. The top four all shooting clean. Malin Chagada, another good day for her. She'd have hoped though that she could have just found her way onto the podium, but she continues to push, just not too far behind her big rival in the battle for the World Cup overall at the moment. Lou Jean-Monod finishing in 7th. Franziska Preuss back to the flower ceremony, and what a place to do it. And Chad alongside her, Jelena Hettich-Volz. A good day overall for the Germans, and they've set themselves up really nicely going into the weekend's pursuits.
Yeah, they come off the men's race with a silver medal spot for Philip Navrath, and though it's not a podium spot, both Franziska Preuss and Jelena Hettich-Volz in the flower ceremony. A good step forward for the Germans. Julia Tannheimer with 2 misses on the day in 17th. It's also a solid performance for her on the skis. So Germany buoying their existence a little bit here in Oberhof with 2 straight weekends at home, starting here at Oberhof and then next week in Ruhpolding. A good step forward for the German team. That's going to give the fans something to get excited about, especially for the pursuit, with 3 Germans really in the pursuit hunting for the win between the men and the women. We should expect the weekend crowds to swell here in Oberhof.
Just looking at Franziska Preuss's result, the second time she's been in the flower ceremony this season. Back-to-back flower ceremonies now for Franziska Preuss indeed, and the fastest of all the biathletes today who had 1 miss. It would always require patience, Chad, with the illness she's had, and of course not the most ideal start to the season and the campaign, but it does feel like slowly by slowly Franziska Preuss is getting back to challenging for the podium positions.
I would say today is a huge step back. I feel like this is somebody who is still not 100%. This is the day 47 seconds back. It's not going to, even clean, she's not going to win. She's not guaranteed a medal at this point. She's close. But I think that if you look at where she was in the first period, as you look at the overall World Cup score, and Wu Zhang will continue to lead. But the story for Preuss is that she's projected, with the rate of improvement that I see of her this weekend, she looks like she could be completely in the medals for the Olympic Games, and that's the important thing for her.
Well, Well, Ruhpolding up next, somewhere she knows incredibly well. Of course, that's our next stop in this German doubleheader to kick off 2026.
In a very busy week of biathlon right now. There's races, IBU Cup in Arbor, Germany. There's a Paralympic event in Notrai, Germany. So Germany really the hub of the biathlon world right now, as Paralympic athletes, junior athletes, and IBU Cup athletes all competing this week in Germany.
Well, you can catch the action and of course the highlights as well across the Biathlon World YouTube and here on Eurovision Sport. Do head over to the app to catch the live coverage, and we do have a bumper week, as Chad said, of biathlon, and more coverage than we've seen this season across those events that we've just mentioned. So do make sure that you stay across it all, either with us on Eurovision Sport or over on the Biathlon World social media pages, and of course their YouTube as well. Lou Jean Monod, though, holding on to the yellow bib. Melanchuk Guida continuing to just deploy enough pressure, though, Chad.
Yeah, I think that Chirkaida doing a good job of maybe not her best skiing of her season, but I think that if she can get past today and maybe throw a good shooting performance together, we can contest the win or the pursuit this weekend. But really, I think this is the performance of the day in my mind. I think Julia Simon came the furthest over the holiday break from where she was in the first trimester with a clean shooting, and she's 23 seconds shy of the victory, but I think this is going to feel more like it for her. And notice the rest of the world. Look out. Julia Simon has her fitness back. We haven't seen this yet this season, and she looked good.
Clean shooting for Julia Simon, and on the podium for the first time this season. Well, no stranger to the podium this season, Suvi Minkkinen. And Chad, when you look at the calendar next to with it next to the podium places and of course the flags, it is so great to see the Finnish representation out of the 8 individual, the solo races so far. They've found themselves on, just counting up, 2, 4, is that 5 podiums that have had Finnish representatives on. Of course, 4 of those have been Suvi Minkkinen with Sonja Lennemo, but well celebrated today, of course, in Sweden, the return of Elvira Öberg, and we know what she can do in pursuits, Chad. You wouldn't want to bet against her this weekend.
No, I think this is a race for everybody else to chase Elvira Öberg, because when she's in a pursuit competition, she's at her best. This is where she feels comfortable, and she's got a 21-second lead over Minkkinen. That's a penalty loop. And at this point, with the skiing she did in the last loop, it's going to be hard for anybody, I think, to beat her in the pursuit
Elvira,
competition.
congratulations. Finally the first win of this season, and let's say a very good start of a new year. So how this one feels?
For sure, super happy, and to finally shoot 0 in a sprint in the World Cup again feels amazing. And today I've been struggling a lot with the sprints, so we decided that I want to try something different. So today I really only focused on myself. I didn't want any intermediates during the race. I just before the last loop, so I 100% only focused on my skiing, my shooting, and yeah, turned out good.
You were also a little bit sick, but now with today's wins, does it show that you're getting back and that you really have your form picking up?
Yeah, for sure. I've been training a lot the last 1.5 weeks, so I wasn't actually expecting the shape to be this good today. But it's a really tough course here in Oberhof, so you don't have to ski your fastest. You just have to hold on until the end. So yeah, hopefully now the shape is back.
Hopefully it's gonna stay the same. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Well, Chad, you always see those Swedish jerseys wherever we go around the world and around Europe. Great to hear from Elvira Öberg there, and you can really see how much that victory means to her. Just her 3rd sprint win, and 2 of them have been here in Germany.
Yeah, it's great for her to actually get those sprint wins. And you'd think that with her skiing confidence and the speed of her skiing that most of her wins would come from sprint competitions, but she's actually that's her 12th victory, just 3rd sprint win. So it's less than a quarter of her victories have been sprints. She's mostly a mass start master. She's got 5 mass start wins and 4 pursuit wins, as opposed to 3 sprint wins. So she's starting to feel a little more confident in a race that I think that she should win more often with her ski reputation and her ability to ski so fast. So 3rd sprint win, it's a step in the right direction for her, and especially in Oberhof, where she's now a winner for the first time.
So a bumper day of action here in Oberhof concludes with the women's flower ceremony for the sprint. Ellard atop the podium for the very first time this season, and this season, well, you can't keep Suvi Minkkonen off it, and it's not just in the sprints. She's performing exceptionally well in the pursuits, and what a pursuit we have coming this weekend when you look at those who pack out the top 10.
Die Siegerpräsentation wird durchgeführt durch Stefan König, den Staatssekretär für Medien und Europa in Thüringen und Verbandsvorsitzenden des Zweckverbands Thüringer Wintersportzentrum. Außerdem durch Dr. Franz Steile, Vorstandsmitglied der Internationalen Biathlon Union, und Jörg Flechner, Präsident des Deutschen Skiverbands. Wir gratulieren zum 3. Platz. In 3rd place für das Team aus Frankreich, representing France, Julia Simon.
Well, she set the pace earlier on, Julia Simon, going bib number 22, and it was a time that stood for quite some while on the podium for the first time this season, and it's bronze for Julia Simon.
Nice to see her back. She is had a rough year and clearly wasn't in the fitness that we've seen her at. But throwing her hat in the ring is one of the favorites now heading into the Olympic Games with a podium finish today.
2nd place für Finnland, representing Finland, Suvi Minkkonen.
Well, Chad, one of the true joys of last season was watching Suvi Minkkonen emerge into the top level, the world-class athlete that she is today, and there's no stopping her anymore.
No, she has arrived and she's established herself. Her ground level, her bottom level is very high now. That's the biggest thing. So even on a bad day, she's finishing higher than she would have 2 years ago on a good day. So it's a new level for her and a great timing with the Olympics coming up.
Elvira Öberg atop the podium once again. Perfect shooting, a perfect race, and always, as she does, had that extra gear to pull away on the final lap, winning in a time of 20 minutes, 0.6, with a 21.1 second advantage over Suvi Minkkonen. The first time she stood atop the podium since the World Championships and her mass start victory in Lenzerheide, and what a welcome return it is. Just the boost, Chad, to have the Öberg sisters atop the podium in consecutive races in the sprint discipline before the Olympic Games.
Yeah, it's proof positive to them as well, feeling the confidence that they have the training right. They know where they are in their fitness, and they're not guessing at what has to happen next.
Malin Chikare taking 4th today and continuing to put pressure on Lou Jean Monod. Lou Jean Monod is finishing just out of the flower ceremony today. And there will be a huge amount of celebration for these two. First up, Franziska Preuss, Back-to-back flower ceremonies and a 5th place finish, her best result of the season as she continues to grow back into the athlete that we saw last season and struggled with illness. And well, what a return, Chad. We spoke about her ski speed and it served her very well today. One miss for Janina Hedvig-Waltz, who is well, back to some incredible form after the birth of her child and taking last season off.
She's never been this fast. I mean, we're looking at a new Janina Hedvig-Waltz, and with this speed, if she can find the groove on the standing shooting that she had before she found the speed in years past, she will be formidable. And these two right now, Preuss and Janina Hedvig-Waltz, they're 5th and 6th today, but everybody's on notice. These two are skiing fast, and together they can do some great things coming into the Olympics in February. So Germany has some bright spots today in Oberhof with the looming Olympic Games.
Well, an intense day of competition here in Oberhof. We will all take a break tomorrow before action returns on Saturday, 12 o'clock Central European time, with the men's 12.5 kilometre pursuit. The women's relay then follows that before the reverse on Sunday, 11 o'clock Central European time. The men's relay gets underway before the women's 10k pursuit. And will we see another German on the podium this weekend? The crowd here at Oberhof will certainly hope so, but it's all celebrations and smiles for the Swedes and Elvira Öberg, her first victory of the season and her first victory since the World Championships. We'll be back on Saturday, 12 o'clock Central European time, for the return of action here in Oberhof. We do hope you join us here on Eurovision Sport.